The moment a woman realizes she lost a good man, it rarely happens the day he walks away. It happens weeks later, when the silence becomes louder than his presence ever was. Most men think if a woman leaves, she simply moves on and forgets. But human psychology doesn't work that way, especially not when the man she lost was rare. I'm speaking to you not just as a psychologist, but as someone who has spent years listening to women privately admit things they would never say publicly. And one of the most common confessions is this: they don't fully understand the value of a good man until he is gone. When a woman is with a good man, something strange often happens in her mind. Stability begins to feel ordinary. Loyalty feels expected. Consistency becomes invisible. The very qualities that make a man rare slowly become background noise in her emotional world. At first, she doesn't notice. You answered her calls. You showed up when you said you would. You supported her when life was hard. But human beings adapt quickly to comfort. And when someone adapts to something long enough, they start believing it will always be there. That's where the shift begins. Not because she's evil, not because she's heartless, but because familiarity dulls appreciation. Psychologically, people are wired to chase novelty, excitement, emotional spikes. And sometimes when life becomes calm with a good man, her mind begins to wonder if something is missing. She may not say it out loud, but internally she starts asking dangerous questions. Is this all there is? Why does everything feel so predictable? Why don't I feel butterflies anymore? But what she doesn't realize in that moment is something most men learn far too late. Peace rarely feels exciting. A healthy relationship doesn't create constant emotional chaos. It creates stability, safety, predictability. And ironically, those very things can feel boring to someone who hasn't matured emotionally yet. So the comparison game begins. Maybe she sees other couples online who look more passionate. Maybe someone new enters her life who gives her attention and novelty. Maybe her friends whisper subtle doubts into her ear, and slowly, the man who gave her loyalty starts feeling less impressive in her mind. Not worse, just replaceable. This is the stage where many good men start feeling something shift, even if they can't explain it. Her tone changes, her excitement fades, her appreciation becomes quieter. You might still be doing everything right, but emotionally, something inside her is drifting. And here is the brutal truth many women later admit during therapy sessions. At the time, they believed they could find something better, not necessarily another man who treated them worse, but someone who made them feel more alive, more excited, more desired. The illusion of something better is incredibly powerful, because when someone believes there are endless options, they stop protecting the one they already have. And eventually, the good man notices. He feels the distance, he senses the disrespect, he sees the emotional withdrawal. A good man doesn't leave because he stops loving. He leaves because he realizes he's no longer valued. That moment is often quiet. No dramatic explosion, no screaming fight, just a calm realization inside his mind. I deserve to be appreciated. And when he finally walks away, she doesn't panic immediately. At first, she feels relief, freedom, space. She tells herself it was the right decision. But what she doesn't realize is that the emotional storm hasn't started yet, because the real psychological impact of losing a good man doesn't begin when he leaves. It begins later, when reality slowly replaces the fantasy she believed would make her happier. And that's when the first wave of regret quietly enters her mind. Weeks pass, maybe months. At first, life feels normal for her. She fills the silence with distractions. Friends, work, social media, new conversations, maybe even new dates. On the surface, everything appears fine, but deep inside her mind, something subtle begins to happen. Comparison. This is the stage where many women begin noticing something they ignored before. The emotional quality of men is very different. The dating world can feel exciting in the beginning. New attention, compliments, flirting, fresh energy. But attention is not the same as commitment. And this is where the contrast slowly begins revealing itself. The new men may be charming, funny, confident. But as time passes, small differences start appearing. One cancels plans easily, another disappears for days. Someone else only shows interest late at night. At first, she brushes it off, but eventually her brain starts connecting dots. The man she lost didn't behave this way. He was reliable. He answered when she called. He didn't play games with attention, and suddenly a memory appears. Maybe it's something small. The way you checked if she got home safely, the way you remembered details about her day, the way you showed up even when it was inconvenient. At the time, those things felt ordinary to her. Now they start feeling rare. Psychologically, this is called contrast realization. Humans often understand value only when they experience the absence of it. And absence has a strange power. It removes distractions and leaves only memories behind. Without the daily presence of a good man, her mind begins replaying moments she once overlooked. The quiet loyalty, the emotional safety, the predictability that once felt boring now begins feeling comforting. But by the time this realization starts forming, pride often prevents immediate action. She may not reach out yet. Instead, she tries to convince herself the feeling will fade. Maybe the next person will be better. Maybe she just hasn't met the right replacement yet. So she continues exploring. But the deeper she goes into the modern dating world, the more she begins seeing patterns. Some men chase only physical attention. Some disappear when emotions get serious. Some promise things they never follow through on. And slowly, another realization appears. Good men are not as common as she once believed. In fact, many women privately admit something shocking later in life. Finding a man who is loyal, emotionally stable, respectful, and consistent is extremely rare. But during the relationship, rarity wasn't obvious, because she had already become used to it. That's the psychological trap of familiarity. When something valuable becomes normal, the brain stops celebrating it until it disappears. And this is where regret begins forming. Not dramatic regret yet. Just small emotional cracks in her confidence about the decision she made. She may randomly check your social media. She may wonder how you're doing. She may even ask mutual friends about you, but she rarely admits the full truth to anyone, because admitting regret means accepting something painful, that she may have misjudged the value of the man she once had. And as time moves forward, those emotional cracks grow deeper, because eventually she hears something that changes everything. You moved on, or worse, you became happier without her. And that's when the quiet regret transforms into something much heavier. When a woman discovers that the good man she lost is no longer waiting for her, something shifts deeply inside her mind. Up until that moment, a part of her often believes there is still time. Time to reconnect, time to return, time to reopen the door she once closed. Even if she never planned to walk through it immediately, the possibility itself felt comforting. But when she realizes that possibility is gone, the emotional weight finally lands, because the human mind reacts very strongly to lost opportunities. Psychologists call this delayed emotional recognition. People don't always feel the full impact of a loss right away. Sometimes the brain protects itself with distraction, pride, or denial. But once the reality becomes undeniable, the emotions arrive all at once. This is the stage where memories become sharper, not the arguments, not the frustrating moments, the good moments, your laugh, your patience, the small gestures that once seemed insignificant. She begins remembering the way you made her life easier in quiet ways she never noticed while you were there. Maybe you handled stressful situations calmly. Maybe you supported her dreams when others doubted them. Maybe you simply made her feel safe being herself. These are the kinds of emotional experiences that cannot be replaced easily, and when the brain realizes something irreplaceable is gone, regret becomes heavier. But here's something many men don't realize. Women rarely express this regret publicly. Social pride is powerful. Admitting that you lost a good partner because you didn't appreciate them properly is extremely difficult, so the regret stays internal. Private, silent. She might still appear confident to the outside world, but internally, The comparison continues. Every new man she meets is unconsciously measured against the emotional security you once provided, and most fail that comparison. Not because they are bad people, but because emotional consistency is rare. Real loyalty is rare. A man who stays steady through life's ups and downs is rare. And the older people get, the more they begin understanding this truth. That realization can be uncomfortable because it forces a difficult question into her mind. Did I walk away from something I may never find again? That question doesn't always have an easy answer. Sometimes she attempts to reach out. A message, a casual conversation, an excuse to reconnect. But by then, something inside you has already changed. Good men don't leave relationships lightly. When they finally walk away, it usually means they spent a long time trying to fix things before reaching that decision. And once they rebuild their self-respect, returning becomes difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. Because respect is the foundation of love. And when respect disappears, love struggles to survive. So when she realizes you truly moved forward, another psychological shift happens. She stops seeing you as the man she left. She starts seeing you as the man she lost. Those two perceptions feel completely different. One feels like control, the other feels like consequence. And consequences create reflection. Deep reflection. That reflection may last months, sometimes years, because the mind keeps revisiting the same thought. If I had appreciated him more, would things be different today? That single question can echo in someone's mind for a very long time. By the time a woman fully understands the value of the good man she lost, something else has already changed. You. Because loss transforms people on both sides. When a good man walks away from a relationship where he wasn't appreciated, he goes through his own evolution. At first, there is pain, confusion, self-doubt. Many men spend months asking themselves difficult questions. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Why wasn't my effort valued? But over time, something powerful happens. Clarity. You begin seeing the relationship from a different perspective. You realize that loyalty, patience, and emotional support are not weaknesses. They are strengths. But they must be given to someone who recognizes their value. That realization changes how a man moves through the world. He becomes calmer, more selective, less desperate for validation. And ironically, that quiet confidence makes him more attractive than ever before. This is why many women become curious again when they see a good man thriving after the breakup. Confidence without bitterness is powerful. Growth without anger is rare. But by that point, the dynamic has completely changed. You are no longer trying to prove your worth. You already know it. And this is the deeper lesson hidden inside this entire story. A good man's value is often quiet. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't demand constant validation. It shows itself through consistency, reliability, and integrity. But the world is full of noise, excitement, temporary emotions, and sometimes people chase those things before realizing that peace was the real luxury all along. That realization can arrive too late, not because reconciliation is impossible, but because people grow in different directions after separation. And once someone rebuilds their self-respect, they rarely return to places where it was once ignored. So if you're watching this right now, understand something important. Your value as a man is not determined by whether someone recognizes it immediately. Some people only understand value through loss, but that doesn't mean your worth disappeared. It simply means the wrong person was holding something they didn't yet understand. The right person won't need to lose you to appreciate you. They will recognize your loyalty while you are still standing beside them. And that kind of recognition creates something rare in modern relationships: mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual loyalty. Before this video ends, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever given your loyalty and effort to someone who only realized your value after you walked away? Write yes or no in the comments, and if you feel comfortable, share a small part of your story. Your experience might help another man realize his own worth today. And if this message resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth. Sometimes one conversation can change how a man sees himself forever.